Hi there, welcome. This is the Kelly's Astrology podcast, where you can find insight, guidance, and understanding through astrology. I'm Kelly, and I'll be your host. Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kelly's Astrology podcast. This is the first show for the month of May. I absolutely love this time of year in Southern Ontario. It's one of my favorite months. We've got longer days, warmer days, and just the garden beautifully coming alive. It is just, I don't know, I just love it. In today's show, though, I'm going to take a look at the astrology of the week starting May 4. And this is a relatively quiet week in terms of the astrology. There is not a lot of things happening. However, this is the week of a very gorgeous new moon. So that's what I'm going to talk about in today's show. If you are enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, or follow along wherever you're listening. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit that bell so you can make sure you get notifications about new episodes. And if you're listening on something like Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, I would so appreciate it if you would leave a short review. All right, team. So the new moon in Taurus arrives, it's Tuesday, May 7 or Wednesday, May 8th, depending on where you are. So we're looking at kind of middle of the week. And this new moon offers themes of grounding. It offers the potential for a secret beginning or a hidden birth. The new moon will be at 18 degrees of Taurus. And in addition to the themes I'm going to talk about in today's show, you can also consider this to be your once a year restart around the topics and themes of the Taurus part of your birth chart. For instance, if Taurus is on the 11th house of friends in your chart, then this new moon might be a time where you make a new friend, or you join a new group. Maybe you start a new chapter, or you go into a new stage with a long-running friend that you have. So that friendship goes into sort of a new chapter. Maybe Taurus is 6th house for you, and this new moon might see you starting a new daily routine or maybe tweaking your daily schedule. And you might be making changes to work routines, daily, weekly work schedules, or about your regular health and wellness routines. So you really just want to think about, where is Taurus in my chart? Which of the 12 houses does Taurus align with for me, and how could I start afresh in that area of my life? So you can always do that, where you personalize whatever's going on astrologically to what it is activating or stirring up in your individual chart. In terms of the themes and the qualities of this new moon in Taurus, it's kind of a super Taurus expression of energy. And this has to do with the fact that there are 3 other planets in the sign of Taurus at the time of this new moon. So with it being a new moon, that means we have the sun and moon conjunct or together. So they're both in Taurus. But in addition, we also have Venus, Jupiter, and Uranus in Taurus at the moment. And so this is like a really strong emanation of Taurus energy out into the cosmos and into our lives. And so that might mean that this new moon in Taurus is a time where you're wanting to slow down, to move at a more measured pace, where you can kind of be grounded and calm as you go forward. So the new moon in Taurus can be a time to really slow down, to get grounded, or just refocus on your connection with nature and with the tactile world. Taurus is a sign of the 5 senses, and under this new moon in Taurus, you might make it a priority to improve the quality of what you can see, taste, smell, hear, and touch. So we want to really kind of provide all of our 5 senses with enjoyable experiences, essentially. So it's very embodied, very tactile, and very much focused on that pleasure enjoyment piece. Taurus is a sign of comfort and of enjoyment. It is a sign, of course, ruled by sweet Venus. But Taurus is not really a sign about luxury or extravagance. So this new moon in Taurus might remind you of the quality of things, like investing in something that has substance and is intended to last, which could be a relationship, a partnership, or something you have to buy. Taurus might be one of these signs that embodies the slow movements of things like slow food or slow fashion. The idea that we're going to take time to create or build something and it's going to be of a higher quality or it's going to have longer lasting potential because we've really got involved in things at different steps along the way. So making food from scratch or investing in, a quality purchase, whether that's like a jumper or a pair of clothing that is perhaps made ethically, but also has that long lasting quality as well. So where we can make those choices. There is something about Taurus about longevity. Taurus is a fixed earth sign, so it definitely has staying power. Sometimes with Taurus activations, we can be slow to get going, but once we get started, we really stick with things through to the end. The new moon in Taurus is going to make a stabilizing sextile over to Saturn in Pisces. And that can reinforce some of these grounding, earthy, anchored themes that we already get by the new moon being in Taurus, an earth sign. But it also brings through this quality or this desire to create safe containers, to figure out what like the guidelines or the parameters within which your existing might be. And so we're sort of figuring out not so much like the rules that might be imposed upon us by our commitments and obligations or duties as citizens and things like that, but we're sort of wanting to choose what are we kind of okay with and what are we not okay with. So there's a clarifying realization kind of energy to this new moon. The touch of this Saturn in Pisces sextile might also remind you of the importance of practicalities. It might just be, oh, yeah, and these are the tasks or duties that I have to be consistent with. Saturn in Pisces can also bring in this theme of wanting to clarify expectations, responsibilities, like, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. I know we often sort of have this idealistic sense about our relationships with other people, whether it's a professional partnership or a romantic connection, that things, particularly in the romantic space, that things are unconditional. But I think it's so much of it, there is this sort of dialogue. Maybe it's happening unconsciously, maybe it's happening consciously for you, where there is a sense of like, I'm doing this and you're going to do that. And so that idea of clarifying our obligations or our duties, sometimes it's like clarifying our commitments. There is a little undertone of that in this new moon, thanks to that sextile from Saturn. But the planet that I most really want to talk about in regards to this new moon in Taurus is Venus. Of course, Venus is the ruler of the sign of Taurus. And so this new moon is ruled or informed by Venus herself. That means whatever's going on with Venus is going to tell us something about this particular new moon in Taurus. Keep in mind, there is a new moon in Taurus every year, but each year, Venus at the time of the new moon in Taurus, it can be in a different sign, a different condition, might be making different aspects. And those, whatever those unique things that are going on with Venus, they will add flavor and will provide the unique qualities that sets this new moon in Taurus apart from the one last year and makes it different from the one that will happen next year. So there is a thing that happens every year, a new moon in Taurus, but the ruling planet Venus can be in a different place, condition, or aspect, which will change the energy a little bit of this new moon in Taurus. So that's the technical piece of what we're doing here. Now, for this year's new moon in Taurus, the 2024 version of the new moon in Taurus, Venus is actually also in Taurus at the time of the new moon, which we mentioned earlier. Now, that tells us a couple of important things. First off, it doubles down on the importance of the themes of the sign of Taurus. So it's like a super duper peak Taurus type of new moon. And that emphasizes things like pleasure, enjoyment, and connection. It adds extra emphasis to the topics of the Taurus house in your birth chart, as if there's this repeated theme that you're invited to go deeper and deeper with now. Whether that's nature, environmental matters, food, connection to your body, your relationship to pleasure and enjoyment, or any other topic of Taurus, it's time to go into that as fully as you can right now. Second, it also means that because Venus is in one of her home signs, we add the power of a planet in rulership. And that can indicate that we have the opportunity to build stability and consistency under this new moon. It can also be a time where we can connect with like a gift or a talent or a little blessing that we might not fully always appreciate. So we want to have that sense of gratitude about the sweet ease or those little luxuries or the things that just kind of go well for you, even if they don't take a lot of effort. So, Venus ruling this new moon and being in Taurus, one of her home signs, it might highlight that desire to really figure out how to get regularity, get consistency, or put some rituals into your life that help support that ease and that enjoyment that you just really love. So, if you'd like to learn more about the secrets of a planet in rulership, my new webinar is all about this topic. You can find out more or sign up via my website, kellysastrology.com. It is literally called Planets in Rulership, and it goes into a lot more of the juiciness of what a planet in rulership can offer. But in terms of this new moon, it definitely adds a little bit of a special, sweet, and kind of beneficial quality into the new moon, which is lovely. Now, Venus will be about 8 degrees away from the sun at the time of the new moon, and that places Venus in the hidden combust condition. In turn, those qualities of like hiddenness or of not seeing all the pieces of a situation, as if you've got like your eyes closed or you've got a blindfold on, that goes into the energy of the new moon as well. So there is this kind of hidden, introspective, not seeing, maybe missing things. A planet that is in this combust condition is overshadowed by the sun. It is not visible in the sky. So Venus has kind of vanished from the sky at the moment. And so instead of being obvious or in our face, there's a very subtle, introspective, and very internalized quality to Venus at the moment. And so that subtlety and that introspective energy, this new moon is tuned into that as well. So Venus in this hidden condition relative to the sun puts her focus on the intangible realms. So Venus right now is very focused on energy, on intuition, on our kind of thoughts and feelings. You might think about that Venus is very focused on maybe your psychology, that intangible mind piece. And Venus is also really focused on activities that are taking place in private or behind closed doors. So there's a privacy secrecy component to Venus right now. And so that idea, Venus is getting close to the sun. She's going to be picking up some of the wisdom and insight to the sun. So of the sun. So she will be able to access this really special, high quality kind of wisdom. But she's just sort of mulling it over right now. So Venus in this combust or hidden condition, it might actually give you a caution against starting something that you hope to be super visible or really public or is going to involve a lot of people. Instead, you might find your attention drawn towards liminal spaces and experiences. You're interested in transitions or moving from one thing to the next. Maybe you're more focused on the learning and connection that happens in seclusion or in more private settings. So we're really in that very introspective, internal, reflective space if we're taking our cues from Venus right now. We're in the realm of like secrets and magic and mysticism and anything that is intangible. Venus is heading towards a purifying meeting with the sun. And to prepare for that, Venus herself is undergoing this kind of ritualized type of cleansing and renewal. And in turn, this might offer you the chance to internally review and renew as well. As if you're wanting to sort of purify, and perhaps around some of those Venus topics, you're wanting to review and renew your needs about connection, about pleasure, and about enjoyment. You might explore your relationship to luxury or relaxation, or find new ways to be with your body or spend time in nature. So it's very much about cultivating the relationship within under this particular new moon in Taurus ruled by Venus so close to the sun. So one of the main themes here is that with Venus, the new moon ruler, being hidden at the time of the new moon, It's that whatever begins now begins in private. It's that idea of the secret beginning, the hidden birth. Something has started, but it is not visible yet. So it might be that there's a shift or a realization that you are exploring that is really meaningful to you, but it isn't necessarily one that you share with others just yet. And that's where this idea of this secret beginning comes from, with the ruler of the new moon in Taurus being Venus in this hidden place. And that means this new moon in Taurus is very introspective. It's really internal. You're kind of exploring your own inner stuff. Probably some of the good stuff, or you're trying to get to more of the good stuff, because all of these Venus themes do point us towards the enjoyable, sweet encounters and experiences of life. If you have been craving quality alone time, or if you felt like you wanted to be with another person, maybe a close friend or a relative or your romantic partner, but in a kind of quiet, intentional way, this new moon can really help encourage that. Remember that the themes of the new moon can influence the day of the new moon itself, so May 7th or 8th, depending on where you are in the world. But these themes of the new moon also influence the following 2 weeks. So from this new moon in Taurus until the next full moon. And so you've got lots of time over the next couple of weeks to explore your inner landscape and to really clarify a few of those new threads about pleasure, nature, food, the environment, anything tactile to do with your senses, any threads that speak to any of those topics that you can focus on in the days and weeks ahead. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's show. If you would like to learn about the gifts of a planet in rulership, or you want to learn when a planet in rulership might not be a good thing, I hope you can join me for my new webinar all about a planet in rulership. Pop over to my website, kellysastrology.com, to find out more or register. Happy new moon, everyone. I will see you all next week.